Binyamin ben Hana, Aliza Freda, Bat Chaya Tesya. And all the Al Kol Am Yisrael and everybody, especially in places like South Africa where things are so bad. Okay, so we're talking about what you do about a mad dog. Shmuel had said that you don't want to touch the thing, you want to keep your distance and kill it. Okay, so we'll start at the top. Tanya Kavate de Shmuel, Horgimoto, Ein Horgimoto, Ela Bidvar Hanizrak, the Yachef Bay, Mr. Kane, the Nachet Le Mayet. So if he brushes against you, you're in danger, and if he bites you, you're dead. The Chayef Bay, Mr. Kane, Mai Takante, what should you do if he brushes against you? Nishlach Mane, near heat. You should take off your clothes and run away. And Rav Huna Berei de Rav Yoshua, Chaf Bei Chad Minayu Bashuka, Shlachinhu Lamane Verahit. So this happened to him, to Rav Huna, and he was in the shuk and he took off his clothes and ran away. I'm assuming it means only the outer clothing. I don't know. Amar Kiyamti Ba'atzmi HaChochma Techayev Ba'aleha. And he said, I fulfilled the verse that wisdom keeps alive its owners. We had that before. The last stuff. Denachet le mayet, and if he bites you, may takante, amar baye, nete mashka de apa de dichra, v'nichtov ale, ana planya bar planita, amashka de apa dichra katevna alach. You should take the skin of a male polecat, and you should write, like that's one opinion. You should write, I, Plony, the son of so-and-so, the mother's name. I'm writing on this piece of skin. It's a what do you call it? Some kind of incantation. Kanti kanti klirus. And some say you should say, Amri le kandi kandi klorus, ka Hashem tzvakot, amen amen sela. Nishalchin halamane likverina hu, and you should put it in the cemetery be kivrei ad tresa yarche shata for 12 months. Venapkinhu venaklinhu batanura. Then you should go back and get it, and you should burn it up. Venich derichun le kitme aparshat drachim. And then you should scatter the ashes at the crossroads. V'hanach tre yarche shata kishate maya lo lishte ella begufta denachasha. And for those 12 months, you should not drink water out of a glass cup. You should drink water out of a metal cup, because dilma chaze bavua deshida balista kain. You might see the image, if you have a glass cup, of this demon that might be attached to you because of this dog, and you'll be in danger. Kiha the Abba Marta, hu Abba Bar Manyumi, Avdale ime gufta de dahava. So his mother made him some people say cup and some people say straw. She made him a gold utensil so that he was safe from this problem. Now here we come to the really difficult part of the daf, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of morality, ethics, morality, whatever. Va'odamar Rabbi Matya, Rabbi Yochanan chash b'tzvidna. This is some kind of a disease that causes bleeding. Some says maybe it's gingivitis. Azal gava dahahu matronita abdale milta hamasha umale shabta. So she gave him the treatment on Thursday and Friday. Amarla b'shabbat mai. Amra le lo tzricha. Tzrichat. So she said, you don't need it. Two times is a good enough treatment. Mitztarechna mai. Amra. So he said, well, on Shabbat I can't come to you because I'm teaching in the yeshiva. What should I do? Amara le. Ishtabali de lo magalet. Ishtaba lelaha Yisrael la megalena. So she said, swear to me this is a secret recipe. You won't tell anybody. He swore, and this is what he said, to the God of Israel, I will not reveal it. So you can read it to, I will not reveal it. I swear by the God of Israel, I will not reveal it, or I will not reveal it to the God of Israel, but I will reveal it to Am Yisrael. Nefak darasha b'firka. The next day on Shabbat, he went to the yeshiva and he told the recipe, the cure. Vaha ishtabala, but he swore to her. Leilahad Yisrael lo magalena, hala amo Yisrael magalena. What we just said, you can interpret it the way he was going to reveal it to Am Yisrael. And some people say that he told her this before he went and revealed it. I don't know how that helps, but whatever. V'ha'ika chil Hashem megalei la me'ikara. But he told her before that he was going to tell. And I also don't understand how that helps. But whatever. My avdalei, what was the cure? Amar Rav Acha Barei de Rav Ami, me saor shemen zayit umelach. Rav Yemar Amar saor gufe shemen zayit umelach. So I heard it explained as actual barley water or as yeast water with olive oil and melach. And Rav Yemar says it's the yeast or the barley itself, I guess, and olive oil and melach. Rav Ashi Amar, he has a whole different interpretation. Mishcha de gadfa de avza. It's the fat of the wing of a goose. Amar Abaye. Yes. Ana avadi dechuhu velo itasai. I tried all of these and nothing worked. Ad amarli hahu tayaa. It's interesting. I think in the Gemara sometimes these Arab people, they're these merchants or something. They seem to be good guys that they help out and they do whatever. There's another story similar, not similar with the same context, but whatever. Lihahu tayaa. Aiti kashata tezeta de la milu tilta uklenhu benura amara chadka va'adbek b'chache dare. Okay, you should take date pit, olive pits that haven't grown a third of their size. You should burn them in a new hoe, and then you should put the ashes on your teeth. There's a suggestion that this is gingivitis. Avad Avdi hachi the itasai. He did so and it helped. It worked. Mimai hava. How do you get this disease? Mechamimei chamimei de kite umishiure kasa de harsana. You either eat very, 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 very warm wheat bread, or you eat this fish mash that had been left out. One of the commentaries says left out overnight. So maybe the protein disintegrated. I don't know. Oh my simane. And what is the sign that you have this disease? Kadrami midei b'chache va'atadma mibei dare. So you put something in your mouth and your gums bleed. Rabbi Yochanan kichash b'tzvivna avad hachi b'shabta v'itasei. Okay, he did it. Rabbi Yochanan on Shabbat, he took this remedy and it worked. Rabbi Yochanan hechia aved hachi. How can he do this on Shabbat? Take this remedy. Amar Rabbi Nachman bar Yitzchak. Shani tzvidna ho'il matchil b'peh l'gomer bivnei me'ayim. Because it's mamash sakanat nefashot. It starts in your mouth, but then it goes into your me'ayim, and it can be deadly. Amar le Rav Chia bar Abba le Rabbi Yochanan. Kaman keRabbi Matya ben Harash. The Amar hachoshesh b'fiv matilin lo sam b'Shabbat. And the sages say, are you agreeing with Rabbi Matya that you can take this remedy on Shabbat? Because the sages don't seem to agree with that. Amar le shani omer bazo velo ba'acheret. No, I say they agree with me on this, but it's something else they don't agree with. Alema Messiah lay, and we can bring a support for this. Mi she'achasu yerakon machilim oto basar chamor. Mi she'neshacho kelev shoter. Machilim oto chatzar kaved shelo. Lachoshesh b'fiv matilim lo sam b'Shabbat. Divrei Rabbi Matya ben Harash. So these are the remedies for Yurakon, which somebody says it's a quincy. I think the art scroll says it's quincy, which is a complication of tonsillitis, some kind of pus. The Ravi H. Shalom said he thinks it's diphtheria. Anyway, I never heard of quincy, but I'm not only learning Aramaic, I'm learning English. Okay, Amara, where was I? So they bring in this new disease, quincy, and then I've got to find my place here. Yurakon machinimoto. So if he has this disease, you give him the basar of a chamor, yum. And then if he's bit by the killer of the mad dog, you give him the chatzer, the liver, the lobe of the liver of this mad dog that's bit you. If he has this pain in his teeth, you give him this special sam on Shabbat. The chachamim omrim, ve'elu ein behem mishum refuah. What the sages say, but these have no therapeutic value, so therefore you can't do it on Shabbat. However, we're going to have a long discussion about which ones yes and which ones no are effective. Okay. So what does it mean by elu? In other words, some of these have a therapeutic value and some do not have. And the thing that's tricky is that the ones that don't have therapeutic, that means, you can't use them. So we're taking out, it's like sort of negative. We're taking out the ones that do have therapeutic value. Namely, they say that the one for the pain in the mouth has therapeutic value, and therefore you can use it in Shabbat. Isn't saying low. Mazkini sronchi. Okay, so now we're bringing in this new disease, quincy, and Rabbi Matya permits using this on Shabbat, where it says in another braita. But in this case, the rabbis agree with him, but not in the other cases. They maintain that all of the other ones we've just mentioned are not therapeutic. Okay, so the Gemara tries to prove this or give that this is what they mean. Okay, Hachinami, did I skip something? Hachinami Mistabra, is that where we are? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hachinami Mistabra, and this explanation of the sages is reasonable. Titania, for it's taught in another braita. Shlosha devarim amar Rabbi Yishmael b'Rabbi Yossi sheshama mishum Rabbi Matya ben Harash. So Rabbi Yishmael heard this from Rabbi Matya, and we're going to talk about a slightly different set of diseases. Maksinim dam lisronche b'Shabbat. We bloodlet for if a person has quincy on Shabbat itself. Umisha nashachal kelev shoter machilim oto lechatzar kalev shelo kaved shelo. So we give him, he gets bitten by this dog, we give him this liver lobe from the dog. Achashishim befiv has this pain on his teeth, matilim lo sam b'Shabbat, and we give him this remedy for the tzvidna. Be'elu'in, with these we do, behen mishum refuah, just say, these don't have any refuah value, but since they use the word be'elu, means they're excluding something. So be'elu ma'ute mai, what are they excluding? What does have therapeutic value? My love, atarte batraita, lema'ute dresha. And they're not referring to the last two remedies, and they mean to exclude the first remedy, exclude meaning the first remedy does have value. Look. No, perhaps to refer to remedies, which are the quincy, which you do the bloodletting for, and the bite, which you feed the liver for, but they're excluding the tzvidna remedy, that it does have value. And Dina will solve the mystery for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Shkayach Yehudit. Okay, you can hear me, right? Literally 1 minute ago, somebody started cutting their lawn. It must be a neighbor, and it's like so loud. I could hardly start hearing Yehudit. I like just closed all the windows. You can hear me, right? I can like hardly hear myself, but okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, so here we go. Okay, wait, sorry. So I was just going around literally just as you were finishing closing all the windows. Wait, so I should start at the very top, right? At the Tashma, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so Tashma, right? So come here, the following proof, meaning what we're trying to prove is that the Chachamim agree with Rav Matya ben Harash that you can use medicine for the whatever, the gingivitis or whatever thing it is, the problem in the mouth. Okay, so Tani Rabba Bar Shmuel. Right? We've actually seen this type of an idea that a pregnant woman who, like, if on Yom Kippur she like smells some food and develops a craving for it, that we do actually, let her eat until she sort of is revived. Somebody who was bitten by this, whatever, a dog with rabies or whatever it is, that we feed him from the liver, right? That's the thing that the Rav Matya ben Harash thinks. The Choshesh B'fiv, and again, also this mouth ailment, whether it's gingivitis or whatever it is, mitivim lo sam b'Shabbat, that we can put medicine in his mouth, whatever, to make this thing better, even on Shabbos. Divrei Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yosei Shamar Mishum Rabbi Matya ben Harash, right? That makes sense, right? We know these are the things that Rabbi Matya ben Harash permits. The Chachamim Omrim bizu v'lo ba'acheret, right? And the rabbis sort of have this, sort of unclear statement, with this, like, we agree, but like not with the other thing. So of course comes the obvious question, when they say this we agree but not the other, what's the this that they do agree with? If you think it's about the pregnant woman, right, who will feed her on Yom Kippur when she has her craving, pshita, right, like that's just obvious. We wouldn't need to say that. Is there anybody who says not? Like, everybody agrees that you could feed the pregnant woman, so like the rabbis wouldn't need to state that they agree with that. We know that. So like, doesn't it have to be then that dafka here we have like a great statement of saying bizu, right, that they agree with, and it's got to be talking about the fact that you give the mouth medicine, right? It has to be that one, because the dog one we know they don't agree with, right? So again, we basically have three statements. We know they're explicitly agreeing with one. The pregnant woman is so obvious they wouldn't say it. The dog we know they don't, so it can't be that one. It's got to be that they do agree that in fact you could put on this mouth medicine, shma mina, and in fact we see that that's conclusive, that yes, the rabbis, the chachamim do agree with that. Okay. And then we even say, Ravashi Amar Manijin Damid Dika, even if you read, do a close reading of our Mishnah, it supports the fact of saying that the rabbis agree with the mouth medicine, because of the fact that the Mishnah says, if you even look back, right, at Pei Gimel Amid Aleph, it's on the second line or the third? Yeah, it's on the beginning of, well, actually the second line was just to see it because it does make it clear, where it says in the second line of the Mishnah on Pei Gimel Amid Aleph, Mish Nishachok Kelev Shote, Ein Ma'achelin Oto Mechatzer Kaveh Shelo, right? The rabbi say you cannot give from the liver thing. Rav Matya ben Harash Matir, right? He does permit the dog liver, whatever, the liver for the person bitten by the dog. The Odamar Rav Matya ben Harash Achoshik Begrono Matilin Lo Sam B'Toch Piv B'Shabbat Mipniush Savek Nevasho, whatever. And then he says about the mouth medicine. So what they're going to say is the fact that the Mishnah says the odamar, meaning again, so they have him, the rabbi say you can't give the liver thing for the dog bite. And then Rav Matya ben Harash says, yes, you can. And then he says about the mouth medicine. So they say, right, so a close reading of our Mishnah supports saying that the rabbis agree with the mouth medicine, because the Mishnah says, V'odamar Rav Matya ben Harash hachoshish b'fiv mitivin lo sam b'Shabbat, right? That it then had said that he says you do the mouth medicine. The lo pfigi Rabbanan alei, and it does not talk about the rabbis disagreeing with that. Again, because, right, it had said, the rabbis say you don't do the dog. Rav Matya thinks that you do. And then it said about the mouth medicine. And so as they're going to say, if it was true that the rabbis also disagreed about the mouth medicine, put together the dog bite medicine and the mouth medicine, and then say the rabbis disagree, right? They're actually exactly right. Like, yeah, that would make more sense. Shema Minan. So derived from the fact that that's not the order, right? That it sort of has the machloket about the dog bite liver medicine, and then just talks about the mouth medicine, that the rabbis agree with the mouth medicine, and that is what they conclude. Okay. It then continues and it says, it's really amazing to me. You really can hear me? Like, I'm hearing it so loud.
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
Okay, great.
I hear you.
Okay. Okay, so Mipnatius, so now it's like, the next piece from the Mishnah. Mipnatius Savik Nevashotu, V'chulei, right? Again, if you look back at the Mishnah, the specific line was where he allows, the mouth medicine, Mipnatius Savik Nevashotu, V'chol Savik Nevashotu, Chet HaShabbat. So now they're going to say, Lama litu lememar b'chol savik nevashot tochet HaShabbat. Why do you have to add that last clause? Like, if you just said he allows mouth medicine because it's savik nevashot, like, obviously, like, you could just read between the lines that his point is savik nevashot is tochet HaShabbat. Like, why do you have to, like, state it explicitly? So Amrav Yehuda Amarav, Lo Safek Shabbat Zu Bilvad Amru, Ella Afilu Safek Shabbat Acheret. It's actually to teach a big Kiddush, which is, it's not just that, like, meaning, in other words, if the guy's life is imminently in danger and he might die today, okay, so there you're right, it's obvious something Nefashot Doche Shabbat. The Kiddush is saying, even if we're confident that he's not going to die today, like he'll for sure make it, till Motzei Shabbos, and we're just worried that maybe the complications will develop and he'll die next Shabbos or whatever it is, that we still will allow, even being machal this Shabbos right away. And actually, they're even going to explain it in even a more specific way. You'll see. Hey, Chidami, what's the case? What do you mean where we're, worried about, being machal a different Shabbos? They're even saying, Amdul Litmania Yomi, the Yoma Kama Shabta. It's actually a great case, right? I really do see the Havamina, where let's say they said this guy needs an 8-day treatment, right? And the treatment is, say, Machal Shabbos. And it happens to be right now, like it's Shabbos. So if you're going to allow the 8-day treatment to start immediately, he's going to be Machal 2 Shabboses. Or if you just wait, like, till Motzei Shabbos, and then he starts, he'll only have to be Machal 1 Shabbos. Right? So Mahu Tetema, what's the Havamina you might have? The Akev Ad La'orta, which I totally understand. You might say, as I said, right, wait until Motzei Shabbos, right? That he won't have to be Machal 2 Shabbos, let him just, be Machal 1 Kamashmalan, and that's what the Mishnah is teaching us with the extra clause. No, right away, start it right now, even though it means being Machal both the Shabbos and next Shabbos, start the treatment right away. Tanya, we also have a break like this. That you can heat water for a sick person on Shabbos, both if he just wants to drink like tea, hot water, or also if he wants to take a hot bath. And again, not even just, for this Shabbos where we're like, whatever, like obviously if you're worried about imminent death, of course you can, but even if we're not, and it's just about maybe a next Shabbos or whatever, even so you can still do it. And we don't say, oh, let's wait and check it out, which I totally relate to, right? About saying, yeah, maybe he'll be okay, let's wait. No, don't wait, just heat the water. Right, heat it right away. And again, because saving a life is dope for Shabbos, again, not even just for this Shabbos, but even where it's just that we're afraid that, maybe complications will develop and he'll die, next Shabbos. This part's really interesting. So interestingly, the girsa that we have it sounds like, and don't do it by a non-Jew or a kuti, like have like mamish, like, the Rav from your community or whatever it is, do it. But interestingly, there's girsa changes, and some have that instead of saying they have kitanim, not by non-Jews and not by children, meaning go do it. And therefore they read that Ela Gedol Israel, not as have the Gadol Hador do it, or the Rav of your community, but Gidol Yisrael, meaning Gadol, not a Katan Yisrael, not a non-Jew. And it doesn't mean like the Gadol. I thought that was like very cool. That like the one Yersa change of Kutim to Kitanim changes Gidol Yisrael instead of meaning like the Gadol to just a Gadol who's in like whatever, somebody above our mitzvah who's a Jew. And interestingly, so most Rishonim seem to have the Kitanim version, and Gedol Yisrael just means a Gadol who's a Jew. But the Rambam, again, I just know this from hearing a recording, Rabbi Leibowitz pointed out that the Rambam seems to actually have it as like a Gadol, like have the greatest Gadol. So whatever, I thought that was like a cool, interesting, whatever. Anyway, and then it says, this part also is weird, where it says, Ve'ein omrin ye'asu dvrim halalu lo ayidei nashim v'lo al pi kutim, ela aval mitzarfet l'dat acheret. So here also there were some girsa changes about where you put the low, because and there's all these double negatives going on. So it seems that the majority read it as, we don't say that these things should be done. Wait 1 second, remember, right, by the assessment of women, meaning, in other words, or by, say, non-Jews. In other words, that if it's a woman or a non-Jew saying to, like, be Machal Shabbos to save somebody, but, like, others are saying not, that we don't listen to the woman or non-Jew, except some have put the low in a different way, so that it definitely means the exact opposite, that you do it by a woman or a non-Jew, whatever. So there was a lot of discussion about that. And about, like, again, because, say, for example, we definitely trust the woman's medical knowledge, and we let women be midwives and deliver babies and big Machal, whatever. So there was a lot of discussion about, wait, we do, like, our Machal Shabbos and trust the woman's medical knowledge, or we don't, whatever. There's a lot of discussion about that. And about mitzarfin l'dat acheret, and then with what we do let them. That's why the fact that this is about mitzarfin l'dat acheret, but we do let them join with somebody else, is what supports at least the Gemara as we have it. Though again, there were girsa issues here, and some have a different girsa that implies the opposite, but that implies that hours is meant to be read as you don't really listen to a woman or a non-Jew, but they can be mitzaref to others. And the way that Rashi explains it, although there's problems with that also, is in other words, if there's, say, 2 people saying yes, be Machal Shabbos to help this sick person, and 3 saying no, don't, that then a woman or a non-Jew could be mitzarek to make it 3 on 3, and then you have suffix, and then you can. So that's how Rashi explains it, except then everybody attacks him by saying, what do you mean? Didn't we just say, I don't know, 2 days ago, 3 recently, that if 2 people say yes, somebody needs it, then we don't even care if 100 people are against it saying don't save them and be Machal Shabbos or Machal Yom Kippur or whatever to save them. So whatever, on this there was like a lot of discussion and a lot of different girsas about what we do or don't do, but actually I'll just add one other piece that was interesting is in terms of even why do we even have to, like, why is there a havamina, like about like why is there an issue with yes or not, or like why do we encourage Gedolim or Yisraelim or whatever it is, because it's going to come soon, I think, where it talks about, or maybe it is part of this, whatever, is the fact that we don't want to give the impression, like say, doesn't it seem better? Let's say there's a non-Jew right there. So yeah, ask the non-Jew to I don't know, heat up the water, be Machal Shabbos, right? It does seem that you should. Why are they saying don't ask the non-Jew? Is that so there were 2 different explanations given, either that we trust the Jew to like do it with alacrity more and do it quicker, and we don't want even the extra second that maybe the non-Jew will take or whatever it is. And the other is we want to be absolutely clear that really, really this is totally mutter. And so we don't want to appear to be casting it off onto like a non-Jew or whatever it is, such that maybe the next time then that you're in this situation and there's no non-Jew around, then maybe you won't do it. So that was also interesting about the 2 different explanations, either because we think the Jew will do it better and quicker and whatever, or because we just want to be so clear that really this is mutter, and we don't want to make anybody ever think that should there not be a non-Jew around that you can't. Anyway, but there was a lot of...
Dena,
Yes.
This might explain what happened with Rav Matya in the last daf. Who was the person that gave him the advice? It was a non-Jewish woman. And then he went and said the advice and said what the treatment was, and she got mad at him for revealing it. But maybe he revealed it to show this is a Jewish advice and we should do it. Because had it just been done from the non-Jewish woman, it would not have been accepted.
Interesting, meaning like he wants to make sure that...
Dena, may I jump in here?
Please,
Dena?
yeah, it was your go for it.
Yeah, no, evidently this matronita was very well known as a person who knew a true refuah, and it was accepted that she had the secret to cure this disease. So, and one other thing that I didn't mention that I think is interesting is that Rav Rosner quoted Rav Moshe as saying, Zichrono Livracha, saying that we use this issue here as proof that if a person has some kind of an ongoing disease that's stuck in out nefashot, like diabetes, he takes the medicine every Shabbat, and I am even maybe Yom Kippur, that because it could lead in the future to,
Mm-hmm. Interesting, right? Which would fit this, meaning saying that like we don't even want to create any chashash that like whatever, just be Machal Shabbos, even if it's a Jew and even if whatever. Yeah, which is interesting. Anyway, okay, then comes the next piece where it says Tanu Rabbanan, right? So we have in a right mifachin pikuach nefesh b'Shabbat. Again, right? We do pikuach nefesh on Shabbos. V'hazaris harei meshubach, right? Again, even doing it quickly, that's like praiseworthy. Like, don't wait, don't feel like, oh, let me see, is it going to get worse or not worse? Just do it quickly. Ve'in tzarich litorah shuvei beitim, right? You don't have to check with the beitin. Like again, just do it. Ha-ketzad, how so? So now they're going to give 4 different cases, and of course, in classic Gemara fashion, after they give all 4, they're going to say, why do we need each of the 4? Like, what finish does each one teach that you couldn't get from the other? So here come the 4. So number 1 is Ra'at tinok shnafal hayam. If you saw a child fall into the sea, so to us, it's kind of like obvious, yes, go save that child. And so they're going to say that. Poris mituda uma alehu, bazaris harezim meshubach, ein tzarich litorah shuvei beitin. Again, so yes, just like cast that net into the water and like bring that kid up, and again just do it as quickly as possible, and it's praiseworthy, and don't wait to get permission from Beit and just go save the kid. The afal gav de cut side kavre, you're going to see in each one of the cases they're going to explain why, like even if say you're going to catch fish also in that same net that you're throwing in order to catch the kid, don't worry about the fact that you're catching fish, also just save the kid. Comes case number 2. Ra'at tinok shafal bor, right? The first case was you saw a kid fall into like the ocean or whatever it is. Here you see a kid fall into a pit. Oker huyu ma'alehu. These way the Rashi explains it is you sort of it seems that you sort of like dig or like sort of remove the rim to like make the bore less deep so that you can reach and get to the child. So it's like digging or building in some way on Shabbos. And again, same thing, just do it as quickly as possible. Don't wait to get permission from Beit Din. As I said, each one is going to have a, like, even though you might have thought you can't because you're, say, making a step or something useful that might then be able to, like, serve as, again, a step to walk down into the pit. Doesn't matter. Just do what you need to do to get that kid out of the pit. Okay. Case number 3. I know of cases where this has happened. I don't remember if it was a Shabbos or not, but where a kid got like locked into the door, into a room, like, and then the door got locked. Right? Don't wait, whatever it is, just break down the door and save the kid. Again, just do it as quickly as possible. You don't have to wait for permission. Even if, and here interestingly, also there's a lot of gears issues on this page about the mechavin. Some do have that word. Basically, what they're saying is even if you have intent that you're going to splinter the wood of the door, and then you're going to be able to use the wood for like either firewood or making something useful or whatever it is. But interestingly, some have the word mechavin and some don't. Because there's a big machloket among even the poskim about when they're saying even though it's going to make a step or even though you're going to catch fish or even though you're going to be able to use now splintered wood or whatever it is, are you allowed to even have kavana of like, oh awesome, as I'm scooping out that kid, let me get as much fish as I can. As I'm splintering the wood, let me at least do it in a way that's going to be useful. Are you even allowed to have kavana or is it no, you have to try to minimize how many fish you catch or useful wood or whatever it is, or at the very least not have kavana for it. But if it happens, okay, it happens. So there's a major machloket about whether you're even allowed to have kavana to get that side benefit from the malacha that you're doing, and it hinges on some have the word kamachavin in their girsas and some don't. So it was interesting. Anyway, okay, and then case number 4 is, just the aflagat piece. No, we have that, right? Sorry. Case number 4. Right? This is like a famous case, right? That you can extinguish a fire on Shabbos, but from the fact that it says mafsikin, stop like the fire on Shabbos, like sort of delay it. Like Rashi explains, I always find this surprising, where if you look at the Rashi, he says, it's like smack in the middle of the page, right? Of course, we're only talking about where there's life in danger, because we've seen other cases where you are not allowed to extinguish a fire just to like save money or property. But the way that Rashi even explains that you're stopping the fire is by putting, a kelim there filled with water in its way. The reason I find that so surprising is because of the next thing where it says, right, which we see in each of the 4 cases. But if we're talking about just do it as quickly as possible, so don't put kalim filled with water, like put the water directly on the fire. Like, honestly, I don't know how to reconcile that. The fact that like Rashi's explaining it as like almost like through a grumma type of a way. And then it's like doing it the quickest way possible would be just dumping water straight on it. Don't take the extra time to like fill up kalim and like line them up and whatever, but I don't know. Anyway, the afal gav to come even though whatever, basically it's going to make usable coals, right? By sort of putting it out this way. Again, as we've seen, all of them have that. Don't worry about that. Just do it and save the lives. As I said, it now says tzricha, right? That each one is necessary and teaches a chiddush. Why? Di ashmuin and yam, right? It only taught us the first case, which was the case where the kid fell into the sea. Mishum hachi v'hachi azale. Yeah, that makes sense. Of course, we're going to say just save the kid as quickly as possible, because if you take time or wait or try to get permission from Beit Din, the kid is going to be washed away. Like you'll never find him. But aval bor de kayativ emalo. But so I might have just, if I only had the ocean case, I might think that in the case of the pit, where he's just sitting there, he ain't going anywhere. So then maybe you should take the time and ask Beit Din and whatever it is. But no, what's aval bor de kayativ emalo? Tzricha, right? I might have said no. So tzricha, that's why I need the pit case, even where he's just sitting put and he's not going anywhere. Even so, just do it as quickly as possible. Don't get permission from Beit Din. If I only had the case with the pit, right, where the kid is just, sitting there, but still, mishum de kamav eats, I might think it's only because the kid is terrified, right? Poor kid in this dark, pit. אבל ננעלה דלת, אפשר דיאטיב בהי גיזה ומשבש ליבם גוזה. I might think in the case where the kid is locked in a room where he's not going anywhere and he's not terrified, right? He's sitting in a room in his bedroom. He just got locked in or whatever it is. So I'll just think I'll sit on the other side of the door and I'll like play with nuts or I'll do something to distract him, or maybe he has toys in his room or whatever it is. I might think in that case, where he's not terrified and sitting in a dark pit, then wait and ask Beit Din and blah, blah. No tzricha. So we need to know, even in that case, just break down the door and don't delay. And then the last case, right, right, the case with the fire, lamali, right, what do I need that one? That even if right here in this particular house, nobody's there and there's no danger to life, but you're just worried it's going to spread, right? And again, this has very practical halach l'masa. We do this. I've heard of many cases like that, right? Where even if it's here, we're not worried, but we're afraid it will spread, and whatever it is, even that's enough pikuach nefesh to just say, do whatever you need right away to put out the fire. Okay, next piece, it then says, Rav Yosef, Rav Yehuda, Shmuel, lo halchu b'pikuach nefesh achar harov. So we have this like statement in the name of Shmuel that's going to continue now till the end of the Amud and even into tomorrow's, where Shmuel says that when it comes to case of pikuach nefesh, like, don't worry about the regular rules of rov, even if it's just like a minority position, right? And we've kind of seen this, that's still like feed the pregnant woman on Yom Kippur or whatever it is, right? We don't go by rov. Okay, so it says, hey, chidami, right? What's this case? Whatever. So, if you think it's a case where, say, for example, a building collapsed and there had been like 9 non-Jews and only one, did I say it the right way? No, sorry, 9 Jews and only 1 non-Jew. Ruba Yisrael knew that can't be the case, because that would be a case where even if you're going to say, yes, you have to follow majority, the majority are Jews. And of course, you would have to like undo the rubble to see if, it's a Jew trapped under there. Inami. Palgu palda, right? So then, you might think that it's like half and half, or like 5 are Jews and 5 are non-Jews, but no, that can't even be the case either, because something nefeshel lahakel, like that would just be a case of safek 50-50. And of course, we're going to be like lenient in a case of safek 50-50. So rather, what has to be this case where he's saying we don't follow the majority is ela diika tisha kutim Yisrael achad. It's where there were 9 non-Jews and just 1 Jew standing there, and the building collapsed, and we don't know who it collapsed on. We don't know if it's a Jew trapped under there. And there only was 1 Jew and like 9 non-Jews. And even so, we will say, don't follow the majority, be machal Shabbos to undo, the building rubble, even for just the 1 in 10 chance that it's a Jew. And of course, unfortunately, this is all too relevant after the Surfside disaster where Dafka were Jews. But point being, so even if everybody, in the rescue mission were from Jews, we would still say, yes, continue your rescue operation on Shabbos, even if the majority were not Jews, but some are Jews, we would totally say continue, on Shabbos. But the Gemara actually says, not Pshita, wait, but that even in this case where it's just the 1 Jew is so obvious. So this is interesting. This must show up in many other places. I should look into it more. Maybe those of you who are already on your 2nd or 3rd rounds are more familiar with this. But that basically, if apparently there's this rule that if people or whatever are in their kavua places, like in their home, then it's sort of considered this, like, again, this kavua place. And the rule when you're in your kavua, your regular place, is that it's considered mechzal mechza, meaning even if there's 9 non-Jews and 1 Jew, but again, let's use the Surfside case as whatever, this is their home, this is their kavua place, they live in these apartments. So even if it was like 9 non-Jews or 100 non-Jews and only 1 Jew, it is considered the halachic principle is that when you're in your makom kavua, it's treated as mechzal mechza. So you wouldn't need Shmuel's rule. Again, Shmuel's rule is in pikuach nefesh, we don't follow the majority. And the Gemara is saying you don't even need Shmuel's rule, because since they're in their kavua place, even if it is only one Jew, but in the kavua place, it's considered mechzal mechza. So like, even if you're saying we do follow the majority, this would be considered a case of mechzal mechza. And as we said, safek pikuach nefesh, of course, you would save it. Anyway, so the answer is really they accept that you're right. If they were in their kavua place, it would be like mechzal mechza. It would be even following the rules of majority. You would for sure be machal Shabbos to save him. But they're saying, it must be a case where this wasn't their apartment building. They went to a different apartment building. Like all the people in the Surfside apartment building were actually people who lived somewhere else who were just visiting for that 1 weekend or whatever it is. It's not their regular kavua place. Mahu detema. So what's the havamina? Kol de parshmi ruba parish. That now when they're like not in their regular place, so then we say that whatever becomes separated is we consider from the majority. So that again, let's say the Surfside building only collapsed and only some of the residents were trapped, and let's say it was all non-Jews except for 1 Jew. You would think you have to assume it's from the majority. It's from, say, then it's a non-Jew, and to say again we're machal Shabbos anyway for non-Jews because of shalom and whatever it is, but without that, then you would think not to be Machal Shabbos. This is the case where Shmuel is stating his rule that by Pikuach Nefesh, we do not follow the rove, so that even if they're not in their regular place and there's only one Jew, whatever, so you would think you should go based on the majority and not be Machal Shabbos. No, we don't follow the majority, even just the one Jew, even when they're not in their regular place, you're Machal Shabbos to save him. But then they say, wait, is that really true? That we don't follow rove in a case like this? Again, our type of case, you've got the 9 non-Jews and just the one yes Jew, and again, we're assuming that some building collapsed on them. Basically, it says that if it was again in that same chutzner that they had been, then yes, be Machal Shabbos to maybe save that one Jew. But it sounds like if in fact it was in some other, chutzner, meaning they had, left to go somewhere else, that then you're not, which would totally contradict what we just said. But lo kasha, nope, not a problem. Ha de parish kulhu. Meaning the case where we said Shmuel's rule, where you don't follow the majority, therefore you are Machal Shabbos, even for just if it was just the one Jew, even if it's in a different building, is where all of the people who were, say, in building A where they live went to building B. And therefore we know that, again, the Jew had been there. Maybe he escaped. That's the piece we don't know, but we know he had been there. Whereas the case here that they're, challenging it with, where they say don't, if it was the 9 non-Jews and just the one Jew, is only where some had gone from building A to building B, but we never even knew to begin with if the Jew even was there, let alone if the building collapsed and we didn't even know he was there. That's where they're saying that then you wouldn't. Okay, there's still 2.5 lines, but it continued on, and to be honest, it didn't continue on to the next one because I didn't have time. So if you want, I did go to the end, but sort of in the middle of the discussion. Should I just do the 2.5 lines and we'll just stop in the middle? I'm fine with that unless we want to just leave it for the next page. Yeah, should you go to the end? All right, I'll go to the end and we'll stop in the middle. So, Umei Amar Shmuel Hachi. But now they challenge and they say, wait, but does Shmuel really say that we, again, don't follow the rove, when it's a Pikuach Nefesh situation? The Hatnan. But again, here's a challenging Mishnah where, again, and we're talking about a case where there's Jews and non-Jews, and it says, Matzabat Tinok, this is actually a really interesting case, Matzabat Tinok Mushlach, meaning what if you just find in this city that, again, and a lot of the cities say that probably a lot of us came from in America where there's Jews, but also non-Jews, you kind of find like a wandering, abandoned child in this city. Im rov kutim kuti, if the majority of the inhabitants in whatever, whether it's Teaneck or Manhattan or whatever it is, right, are non-Jews, then just assume that child is a non-Jew. Im rov Yisrael, but if most are Jews, then assume this like lost, abandoned child is a Jew. Merza Yisrael, and if it's exactly like 50-50 the population of that city, then assume that he's a Jew. The Amar Rav, but Rav says, Lo shanu ela lahachioto, aval yachaso lo. He says when we're sort of saying that if most of them are Jews, then assume that they're Jews. That's only vis-a-vis, like, say, saving his life or whatever it is, right? But to give him, like, yuchos, to be able to say, let, the child marry a Kohen or whatever it is, like that, no. Here's the relevant part for us. I'll just at least read the challenge, but I didn't really do the answer. Ushmuel Amar, meaning Shmuel says that in this case where, we find this abandoned child and if the majority are Jews, then we'll assume is a Jew, that's vis-a-vis if somehow now some rubble collapsed on this poor abandoned child, right, this poor kid, that's where Shmuel says if the majority are Jews or 50-50, that's when you'll save him. Implication being, if it was a city where the majority are non-Jews, then you assume the child is a non-Jew and you don't save him. And that's why this is a challenge, but didn't Shmuel say that we don't follow the majority? So why is he sort of, making the sukkahs on the case and saying, oh, when we'll say that it's 50-50 or more Jews, then we'll assume he's a Jew and we'll save him. Wait, but shouldn't Shmuel say that you save him even if only minority are Jews because we don't follow rove by Pikuach Nefesh? So I will have to leave us in suspense, though, with this seeming contradiction about what Shmuel says, do we or do we not follow rove when it comes to Pikuach Nefesh? But we will have to find out the answer tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty, have a great day.
Shavua tov, kulam.